Hey everyone, thank you for listening to another episode of Spoiler Force Podcast. You can find more episodes on any podcasting platform such as Apple Podcast, Spotify, Amazon, SoundCloud, and YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and make sure to follow Spoiler Force Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch.
This is Mark Witten, and you're listening to Spoiler Force Podcast. Set your heart ablaze.
This is a FlowGasm Beats production.
All right, so this is episode 101 of Spoiler Force Podcast. My name is Ricky, and thank you for tuning in. This week's guest is someone that I'm extremely excited to talk with. I actually met her through Instagram, followed her content, and just because I love cosplay, she's actually dressed up as well. So let me just introduce my guest here, Kaya Rogoyski. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Hi, I'm really pleased to be on the podcast.
I was pretty nervous when I sent the message to you because I didn't know if like you were going to respond or not. Because a lot of I guess the guests that I contact, I usually just contact them through email. So when it's through like the other platforms for social media and stuff, like when I reach out to them, I feel like it's kind of invasive in a way because it's like that's your platform. I'm not trying to like be weird about it. But when you responded, I was pretty excited.
So don't worry about that. It was totally fine.
But again, thank you for dressing up on this episode. I see you're dressed as Megumin because that's actually how I first discovered your content. Instagram has like those, I guess, just those posts or videos that you see.
Mhm.
And what's funny is, the day before I even contacted you, I was like going through this re-binge of Konosuba. And so the algorithm must have picked that up or something. So I'm so excited to see you dressed as Megumin, and because you're dressed as the character, is Megumin your favorite character on Konosuba?
Definitely. I think I like all the girls, and I also like I like Chomusuke, for example, but definitely out of the girls, she's my favorite.
Are you reading the light novel at all, or are you just watching the anime?
Oh no, I'm just watching the anime. I'm actually really looking forward. I heard there was news that there was going to be more animation, so that's really exciting.
Yeah, I think that was earlier this year. I think I saw it on Facebook and Instagram too as well.
Mhm.
I actually bought some of the light novels just to see if there was any difference. I'm pretty sure there are differences, but I just bought it just because.
Mhm.
I have up to where they're at in the movie right now. So anything beyond that, I haven't bought anything yet for Konosuba, but I'm excited for seeing.
No spoilers then, right?
Yeah, it's perfect. No spoilers.
Yeah, that's good.
Did you get to watch the movie at all when it premiered?
I did, yeah. Not when it premiered. I watched it afterwards, but it was really fun.
I went. Originally, I'm from Michigan, so I went to this theater called Imagine Theaters in Royal Oak, Michigan. I went there, and the premiere was it was a pretty small event because it's an anime movie. Not a lot of folks are into that genre of anime yet. So like it was a small little theater room. I think it fit like not even 50 people, and it was pre-COVID, so it sounds like a long time ago. but
like ancient times.
but that movie was so hilarious watching it. It was just phenomenal. I love seeing all the characters like get rowdy and act up, and especially Kazuma, where the scene where he decides to just go with the what's her name, Sylvia, and refuses to. It tells them, like, tells the other girls, like, you guys have to apologize to me or I'm not coming back. And so that whole scene, the theater room was just dying because of what Sylvia says, like how she has both human anatomies for male and female, and it just that part was just so hilarious. And the voice actors do such an amazing job at like just portraying these characters.
Did you watch the sub or the dub?
I started off with sub because how I got into Konosuba was my cousin, he from Minnesota. He was like, Ricky, you got to check out this anime. It's isekai themed, but it's completely different from what you think it is.
Yeah, it turns a lot of the tropes around, and like just everything's kind of different from what you would expect from an isekai. So I really like that.
I think Kazuma is probably my favorite isekai protagonist right now because like I'm watching like other stuff like Ray Zero, and I just started Shield Hero not too long ago,
Yeah,
and
I've seen Zero.
I keep putting Kazuma into those scenarios. Like, what if Kazuma was isekai into the Ray Zero world, or to Shield Hero, or to even like the Slime world? It's just like his character is just he's too, I guess you could say, too modern day.
Well, he's like, I'm a true feminist, and I love that.
and you know, just having his thoughts, or just imagining his thoughts on like these situations of what he do. Because have you seen the Isekai Quartet at all?
I've seen little bits of it. Yeah, I don't think I've seen all of it. I've seen the ones with like the crossovers with the ones that I'm more familiar with, like ReZero and stuff. It's so cute. I love how they're like all in chibi form.
Have you seen the clip where him and Subaru are talking on the rooftop, and they're like explaining their worlds?
That's awesome. I don't think I've seen that one. I have to go look it up now.
Okay, it's. I'll just like briefly break it down, like where Kazuma and Subaru are comparing their worlds where they're from, because Subaru notices, or Kazuma notices that Subaru has the tracksuit on, so he knows he's like from Earth, and so he's just like, yeah, I keep. You know, my party keeps ruining things for me. They're not what you think they are. And then Subaru's like, yeah. And then Subaru's like, well, yeah, I got like these two maids that work with me. One's really obsessed with me. I like this other girl who's a princess, and there's a, you know, there's a little lowly with drill like hair, and then Cosmo just flipped up like, you have the easy life. They all like you. Like, what the heck? It's
I mean,
great.
that's like the typical isekai, right? Like, that's kind of like the standard genre formula.
I think they also crossed over with there's Overlord, which I haven't really started yet. I'm like on episode 2 or 3 of that, and then there's the I forget, I don't know the title. I just know the main character for Tanya, the one where like the guy was reincarnated to like a little girl. And
I don't know if I know that one. You're definitely more up to date.
Yeah, that one I'm like halfway in that one, just because the animation for that one's really good, but. Those are the 4 main series, and then throughout the Isekai Quartet series, there's like bits and pieces of like Shield Hero and stuff like that. So they haven't really added too much to it, and I think I might be wrong, but I think there's like movies. There's a movie that's coming out for the Isekai Quartet or something like that.
Oh my gosh, I feel like I need to pick up Shield Hero, and then I want to watch more of the Isekai Quartet. Like, I have a good friend who cosplayed Raptalia, so I really want to kind of understand that series better.
Yeah, I think I'm like halfway through Shield Hero right now. I literally picked that up like not even 2 weeks ago. So one of my cousins, he's like, you have to watch this, because if you're into like, you know, the other isekai shows, you got to watch this one. This one has a lot of good reviews. And I'm the type to where if there's anime that's like already being hyped up, I kind of refuse to watch it.
Oh, really?
Then, wait, and then
mainstream.
Yeah, and then wait till it dies off, because like the same thing with Tokyo Revengers. I know that one's almost done. People are like really hyped about that one. I'm just like, I'll wait it out. Wait till the hype dies down.
I love that one too. I don't know why. I mean, so To Your Eternity came out around the same time, and I think that show is incredible, and it's like really deep, and I don't think it is getting very much hype, so I feel like it's like almost undeserved.
Yeah, I think that one's on my list too on Crunchyroll. I just haven't started that one. I have like so many stuff on my list when it comes to like just watching anime, because I'm reading manga.
Tissues, because it's like a tearjerker.
Okay, yeah, that's like more romance, right? Is that?
No. It's like, I don't know. It's like, I don't even know what you would call it. It's its own category. It's the plot premise is just that there's this orb, and it's immortal, but the orb can transform when it's like stimulated, and it's kind of like about how this orb becomes like gains human experience, and you meet a bunch of people, and it's really moving, even though I'm not describing it really well. I don't know what category you'd put it in, just like human drama maybe. It has an Itarikaru opening, so that's like a big plus too.
Perfect. I'll definitely try to make some time to watch that one. Yeah, and then there's so many other ones I've been like trying to watch too. There's one I have it on my tabs here. What's it called? Wonder Egg Priority. I heard that one was
Oh
pretty
yeah,
good.
that one's good. That's kind of depressing and like a lot of trauma triggers, but it's good.
Yeah, because I heard there was like, I think, was it the last episode or second to last episode, or people, or not people, but there was like a bit of an issue with that, right? Because wasn't there like an explanation that wasn't really explained well, or was there something like that happened?
Big revelation. I'd say that there was a big revelation, and I think that people were like, "Whoa, where did that come from?" It was like from left field, and people weren't expecting that, and you know that was kind of the big issue. But I don't want to spoil anything.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind at this point. Let's like, I'm already like way behind. The series is done, so I don't really care. I'll probably still end up watching it anyway.
I think that one's worth a watch. Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like it's not one of the. I would say it's like a heavy show. Like I like to balance my like happy, funny shows. Like Konosuba is like totally one of my favorites because it makes me laugh so much. And then there's like the heavy shows that you like cry over and you feel really moved, and those are good too. But it's like I don't want too many of those all in a row.
Yeah. There's a lot of like for myself, I watch a lot of shonen, so it gets really repetitive at times. So that's why I kind of like always tend to go back and re-binge Konosuba or watch something different because
break up
kind of like, I guess you could say like mentally and emotionally, it just switches everything around instead of like the same storyline or like the same tropes and stuff like that. But I gotta say, man, Konosuba is one that I can watch for days because just all the jokes and everything that happens between all four of the main characters, I absolutely love it.
They're so extreme. I think that's what I love about it. Like there's like the total pervert darkness, there's the total idiot Aqua, and then there's like the total like explosion magic obsessed Megumin, and they're just so extreme, and it's really fun.
Have you I think it was like a week or two ago, the mobile game came out not so long ago. It's called Konosuba Fantastic Days. Have you played that at all?
No, I'm a very casual gamer. So I've mostly just played like Final Fantasy, and recently I haven't been gaming at all because I'm like a full-time mom and I don't have that much time anymore. I do like games, but it's like one of those things where I had to put it on the back burner because I had other hobbies that I like more that I'm like putting my time into.
Yeah, I have it downloaded on my phone, but I think I only just prompted it up like once or twice so far. It's a gacha game system, so I'm trying to avoid that as much as possible because the gacha game.
You just want your money.
Yeah, the gacha game I'm playing right now, Genshin. That's the only one I'm like focused on right now.
Oh, you're into Genshin. I know so many people who are into Genshin.
Yeah, that game I was not surprised. Like I was not. That's not wording it right, but I was surprised that I was actually hooked onto that game because usually I don't play games like that. I'm not a big gamer myself, but like with Genshin, I just kept playing it, and then all my cousins who are gamers, they're all like they built their PCs to play games. They're like, man, this game is so good, you got to keep playing it. And now with all the lore coming out and more like waifu characters being released with the banners, it's getting a lot of traction. And like even my previous guests on the podcast, like some of them are doing voices for Genshin, and I think that's pretty neat to see how like other voice actors from whether it's like other games or TV shows, they all jump onto like Genshin. Even like Ria Takahashi, she plays she plays a character on Genshin, and so that's all I hear is Megumin whenever that character speaks.
Well, I feel like it's huge in the cosplay community as well because the character designs are so pretty. So it's just like I see a ton of Genshin Impact cosplays, and even though I don't play the game, I've started recognizing some of the characters. You know, it's like, oh, that's Barbara. Oh, that's Duluth. You know, and it's like,
they're really kind of like mascots in a way now, where you kind of just recognize them from where they're from.
Yeah, absolutely.
But since you brought up cosplay, though, I guess when did you get into cosplay? What inspired you to start doing all the crafting and all of that?
So I have this really weird kind of history with cosplay. So I'm actually really old. I'm in my late 30s, and the first time I cosplayed,
you do not look that at all. So.
Yeah, also, okay, no, but really, it's like embarrassing almost. But I shouldn't say that though, because I feel like cosplay is for everyone, and if you have fun with it, it doesn't matter. I feel like I'm going to be cosplaying when I'm like 50, 60, you know, whatever. But the first time I cosplayed, I was actually 15. I had just gotten into anime like a year ago before that. So it was like a very new thing for me. And at the time, this was a long time ago. This is like 20 plus years ago. There was like really not the kind of community that we have now. And I had to like figure everything out myself. I didn't know where to buy wigs. I remember using my own hair for my first cosplay. And I got my mom to show me how to like sew some basic stuff on the sewing machine. And it was just like the first cosplay I ever made. Like, I'm embarrassed. I cannot show anybody. It's like so bad. But yeah, I mean, it was really fun. And I just remember going to a con and having people recognize me, and it was like amazing. It was just so much fun. And I did that for a few years, and then like real life hit, I like to say. Like, I had like college, and I did study abroad in Japan, and I did a bunch of stuff. And so I actually didn't cosplay for a really long time. I was on hiatus for like 20 years, and I just came back into it in like 2019, actually. Or I mean, I did a little bit before that, like just 1 or 2 characters to conventions. Like in 2015, I went to Fanime, that sort of thing. But yeah, like it's been more of something that I picked up again as I got back into the community. And it's changed so much. It's amazing how much the community has changed.
Yeah, I can just imagine, like, before all the online shops and before like all social media, really, like cosplaying, people really just had to either buy a costume similar or make everything from the ground up. There was one cosplayer I spoke to before, Dust Bunny. She talks about her experience like that too, where she had to make everything herself. And now with like access to all these online stores and even other cosplayers opening shops for wigs or for props, it's a lot easier to cosplay now than it was 10, 15 years ago.
So much easier. And like I like crafting, but I also don't craft all my cosplays. Like, this one is actually a secondhand cosplay that I got that had a bunch of like components that needed replacing. So I bought gloves, but I made like the choker, I made like the belt. And it's just like there's a lot more, there are a lot more resources out there these days. And not just in terms of like materials, but like tutorials online. I mean, it's been incredible just seeing how much things have changed. I can just go to YouTube and look up, how to block in my eyebrows, or how to do makeup for a specific character. And it's just amazing that there's this incredible community these days.
Are there any cosplayers that you've worked with at all? I guess that you're either, I guess when it comes to like projects like for your own cosplays, are there any other cosplayers that you work with that out to get like tips or some sort of critique?
I don't know if I've done like online virtual collaborations with people. I have friends in like Florida and other places, and we've done where we take photos at home and then we use Photoshop to make it look like we're together and stuff like that. It's like COVID cosplay, right? I mean, it's been kind of a crazy time.
Yeah, I think with especially with COVID, a lot of the conventions are slowly coming back. But are there any that you're planning to go to? Or yeah, I guess are you planning to go to any conventions now, or are you still kind of just more withdrawn from what's going on right now?
So I'm usually on staff for Fanime, and I'm definitely planning to go if it's in person. It was online the last 2 years just because of the situation. I think they're planning. I actually can't say for sure, so I shouldn't. I'm on the staff mailing list, but I'm like not sure, But the thing is, if they're gonna have it in person, I'd love to go. The thing is, my kid is like 5 years old, and so she isn't eligible for a vaccine yet. I heard in the news that there's going to be pretty soon probably eligibility for kids from 5 to 12. So as soon as that happens, I'll feel a lot better about going to conventions and those types of big events. But until then, I'm definitely just a Instagram cosplayer.
But I think what conventions have done for cosplayers too is like definitely helps promote people's solo work, especially because I think that's what really launched a lot of more of these mainstream cosplayers. Now, for example, like Stella Chu and for Jessica Nigri, like if it wasn't for social media, a lot of these people would have just been regular at home cosplayers. And what they're doing now with their brands and building connections and and getting brand deals. I think the cosplay community has exploded because of that. Were there any opportunities that you had as well for that, or is that something you're going for?
I'm definitely more of an amateur. I don't plan on making this like my living by any means. This is just a fun thing for me to do, and it's a way for me to express my love for the characters and for like the fandom usually. I do know people that they make a living making props or selling books. You know, like there's some really famous cosplayers like Kami Cosplay, Kimbut's Cosplay, and I really admire these people. They're like giants in the industry, and I think it's great. But I also think that cosplay is just as valid a hobby for people that want to do it casually and for fun. And I would put myself more in that camp.
Yeah, that's understandable because the cosplay competition is huge out there with everything being more mainstream now, and there's even like people who do like Twitch streams dressing up or doing like cosplay tutorials and stuff like that. Have you considered doing anything like that?
Oh my gosh, no. I could be a Twitch streamer.
Because I know you have like videos of like some sort of tutorials, but have you
on
considered?
YouTube, I just have like my tips that I've decided that need to be shared, but some of them really don't need to be. I mean, I like to share things that I think are maybe not so common or hard to find. For instance, I cosplayed Utahime from Jujutsu Kaisen, and she wears a Miko outfit. And one of my hobbies is kimono dressing. And so I actually know a lot about how to put on kimono. I've learned from a professional like Japanese kimono dresser for many years. And so I have this kind of background knowledge that helps me cosplay in a quote unquote authentic way. I don't know if you can consider it authentic, but what it is I have the actual traditional garments that I've purchased from Japan, and I'm putting them on in the traditional way. So it's like, I was like, well, somebody might actually be interested in, what a Miko outfit is actually like and how to put it on. So I made a tutorial for that. And those types of things might be a little difficult to find. When I look online, I see that there's like 300 videos for, something. I'm not going to upload a tutorial for that because there are so many resources already. But I myself, when I was looking up information about Miko outfits, didn't find that much. So I was like, okay, this is something that maybe I can create a tutorial for, and somebody might benefit from it.
Yeah, I've seen that on your Instagram too, like all the traditional Japanese clothing. Do you buy that like just from Japan? Is that where you get most of it from?
Well, what really got me started was I have a close Japanese friend who her grandmother was really into kimono, and her grandmother passed away, which was pretty sad. But one of the like kind of positive things for me that came out of this was my friend was like, well, I'm not really into this, but you seem to be interested in kimono. Would you like some of these kimono? And I was like, oh my gosh, yes. It was like amazing. And I got some really wonderful hand-me-down items, and that got me really started into kimono. And after I got those items, that's when I was like, well, I need to learn how to put this stuff on properly. I need to, learn from somebody who has experience. So that's how I found my sensei. And it's just one of those things that's how I got started. And I found that it's kind of bled into other parts of my life, like the cosplay.
I was going to ask you, there's like classes for that too, to learn how to do all of that.
So I'm really fortunate in that I live in the Bay Area, and there's like a huge Japanese population here. I also take Japanese calligraphy lessons with a sensei who was like 8th Dan in the Japanese Calligraphy Association. And there's just a lot of stuff out here. It's great. I really love it. You can find, I found the kimono teacher through the local Japanese culture center.
I probably wouldn't mind learning it, but with the calligraphy, I am terrible at handwriting, and I have the worst handwriting ever. So I really doubt I can learn something like that. Because I see your
surprise though, it's not like exactly the same as writing with a pen. It's actually really fun. You use a brush and everything.
I know, but even with painting, like I was one of those kids who would paint and nothing would look right. You may be like splatter all over the canvas or not in the lines. So like when I see your calligraphy, yeah. So when I see your calligraphy, I'm like, to me, it's like, holy crap, this is really good. And then, do you have any on you by any chance, or is it in a separate area?
Oh, I can grab some out of my bag here. I just earned my 3rd dan, so I get to apply for a license. So I have up until recently, I had up to 2nd dan, which lets me teach at the middle school level in Japan. And I just earned my 3rd dan, which lets me teach at the high school level, which is pretty cool. Let me get. So I've been working on. This is just like my assignment for the next month. This is like not corrected by sensei, so this is not very good. But yeah, I mean, this one was approved to turn in, so I feel like this one's better. I can show you guys this one. Okay. So you can see that there's like different styles. This one right here is kind of like the block style. It's called kaisho, and it's like more like, it's a little bit more like a computer font. It's very clean, and there aren't any stray lines. Whereas this one is more, it's the running style. It's called gyosho, and it's more like fluid. And a lot of people like this style because it seems more artistic in some sense, because you can inject more of your personality as you're writing it. But yeah, anyway, that's like totally not cosplay related.
No, but I think that's super cool though. Because just a lot of it kind of just reminds me of like a lot of more traditional or cultural themes from Japan. It's because people still a lot, because anime is so mainstream now, so like people get that mixed up with the Japanese culture and stuff like that. So I think it's really cool that you share that that art form with your cosplays too. I think I just really appreciate that. I think that's really neat to see someone who's doing
pop culture is culture too. I mean, it's like, I don't know if you put it in the same category as like calligraphy or kimono, but for me, it's definitely a part of, Japanese culture as well.
Want a simpler way to record both video and audio podcasts? Then sign up with StreamYard. StreamYard is the perfect program to create podcasts, host live streams, and even do video calls. There are many tools to help you create and design your own personal studio. You can screen share, read live comments, and stream to multiple destinations such as Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. You can also download your video and audio recordings after each session. Follow the link in the description, and once you sign up with the basic or pro plan, you'll earn a $10 credit to use for StreamYard. Do you want to start your own podcast? Then sign up with Buzzsprout. Buzzsprout has helped hundreds of thousands of users to begin their podcasting journey. With easy-to-use tools, you can effectively get your podcast onto many platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and more. You can view stats, create audio clips, and even have your own podcasting website. Buzzsprout also offers ideas, tips, tricks, and tutorials to help you improve your podcast. Follow the link below, and once you sign up, you'll get a $20 Amazon gift card. This will let Buzzsprout know that I sent you and also support Spoiler Force Podcast. Happy podcasting. If you're into anime, manga, or anything that's from Japan, Otaku Detroit is the place for you. Located at 513 West 11 Mile Road in Madison Heights, Michigan, you can find a variety of manga books, anime figures, collectibles, posters, snacks, and even authentic items from Japan. Stop on by to see store owner Matt and let him know Spoiler Force sent you. Well, you did talk about going to Japan earlier. You said you went there for, was it work or was it for school, right?
Yeah, it's actually both. I studied abroad for 2 years. I did 1 year in college, and then I did another year as I got a scholarship for research there. And then after that, I worked in Japan as part of my, so after I graduated from graduate school, I started working at this company that wanted to expand into Japan. And so they sent me over there. I was actually the 3rd employee, not wrong number of fingers. I was the 3rd employee on the ground in Japan, and it was like an incredible experience. I worked there with my Japanese coworkers, and it was actually like a really good crash course in honorific speech, which I had learned, but you really have to get your honorifics right if you're going to work properly with like Japanese people.
Now that's something I wanted to bring up too, because I recently watched I forgot who the YouTuber was, but things like Paulo from Japan or Tokyo. He talks about like honorifics and the different culture rules there. For example, like I think the one that stuck out to me was when you go grocery shopping in Japan, you're not supposed to like touch any of the food and stuff like that, or like
It
press on the
depends
food.
on what, but yeah, okay.
So like I saw that, and I guess that really stuck out to me because in the States, like everyone just grabs whatever or puts it back, and it's not like where they would even consider like that kind of idea into like just buying food. So that really stuck out to me. And then, like you said, with honorifics, like there's people that you have to address by whether they're your senior or junior. That's something that I mean, I see, I hear that in anime. So like it
Yeah,
to really
it's
see that.
definitely in there. You can definitely see that. Some characters will insist that their kohai call them senpai, and that's definitely a thing in Japanese culture.
So was that different? I guess not different, but was that a challenge for you then? Like coming from the States, going to Japan and learning all of that too?
I would say I had kind of like a benefit in that I already spoke Chinese. So I'm Taiwanese. And I grew up speaking Chinese, and there's kind of this concept of like honorifics and respecting your elders. And I think that actually really helped me in terms of, there was a little bit less of a cultural gap, I guess, because I already felt like I understood a lot of that. And, but yeah, I mean, there were obviously things that I had to learn. There is a much more kind of hierarchical system. I think that honorifics in Chinese are pretty simple. It's just like a few words. Whereas in Japanese, I mean, like the entire conjugation is often different. There are certain verbs that like you have to use a completely different verb when you're talking about something that somebody honorable has done versus, you know, just a regular, like if your sensei has done something that's like, you have to use a special verb for that versus, you know, somebody else, right? Like, so there's this, the thing that I found the most interesting was that in Japanese society, people keep track of things like somebody's age, somebody's position at the company, how long they've been there. And a lot of this stuff is part of the self-introduction when you meet somebody. So you really need to be paying attention when you talk to somebody for the first time, because they'll tell you things like, oh, I graduated in this year, and that's supposed to give you a clue like, oh, this person is more senior to me, so I need to use honorifics, right? It's like one of those things. And so I think that type of thing that's encoded in culture is really interesting. Because like I think in the US, when you meet somebody, you don't like talk about like, oh, this is the year I graduated, or I've been at this company. Well, you might say I've been at this company like, you know, 5 years, 10 years or whatever. But you know, those types of things I think are more emphasized in Japanese society. And that's something that was interesting for me.
Yeah, in the States, we don't really, I don't think we have anything that would signify like someone's senior status besides like addressing them as a doctor or something like that. But other than that, I would never think of like calling them by a higher name or lower name like that. I would just be like, oh, hey, how you doing? And apparently like in Japan, that's like, I think that's like considered rude at times, because if you don't know who that person is,
it could be considered like disrespectful if it's somebody who's very senior to you and you're like, hey, you know, like first name basis, and they're just gonna be like, who are you? You're not my bestie. Why are you calling me by my first name? Okay.
So being in Japan though, was that can you talk more about your other experiences besides just like working there? Was there anything that stuck out to you when you lived there?
Oh, there's so many things. I think that one of the things that had a huge impact on me was just seeing how different society can be organized and how like urban planning can be really different. So my first year of study abroad, I lived in Tokyo, and it was amazing. The transportation system is so well done there. And one of the things I noticed was like in the States, we just tend to drive everywhere, and kind of our cities are planned around driving. So like, you know, you live in a neighborhood, but there's like nothing kind of close by that you'd want to walk to unless you want to go visit your friend, which is fine. But like, you wouldn't really walk to get groceries or get, you know, clothes or go to the movie theater with your friends. It's much less likely that that is within a reasonable walking distance of your house for a lot of Americans. I wouldn't say everybody. Some people live in areas where they have access to, you know, stuff like that. But a lot of people live in these kind of subdivisions where it's just housing. And then you drive to like an area where you know, hang out with your friends or whatever. But in Japan, it's like a lot of things are just there's no zoning the way that we have in the States. And so like the when you get out of the subway station, it's like the supermarket's there, the shopping mall is there, the movie theater is there. A lot of people will say, oh, let's meet up this weekend at such and such station, and then people just hang out right there, and it's just so convenient. And my apartment in Tokyo was literally less than 5 minutes away from the subway station, so it was like so easy to just get places. And so I didn't feel like I needed a car at all. And a lot of my Japanese friends never felt like they needed a car. They would still get like their driver's license as kind of like I'm an adult now and this is something that I can do. But it wasn't considered part of like, you didn't need a car. It wasn't like, and even in smaller cities, like I lived in Sendai for another year, and Sendai doesn't have a huge subway or train system like Tokyo does, but it had a very good bus system. And even there, I didn't really feel like I needed a car. And that was mind blowing to me because I'm from Texas originally. And like in Texas, everybody drives everywhere. That's just how you get places. I started driving when I was 15.
Yeah, Texas is a crazy state to be driving in because like I have a bunch of cousins who live in like the Dallas Fort Worth area.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever I go visit them, it's always like constant driving to wherever you need to go to. Like even to go to like a small little shopping area, you still got to drive there. It's not within walking distance
you know
at
what
all.
I'm talking about. It's totally like that. And so like I imagine 18 years of this is all I know, and then I go to Tokyo. It's like, or I mean, I think I was 20 at the time, but yeah, it was just mind blowing. I was like, I don't need a car and I can do all these things. Like, it was totally awesome. And I just feel like anybody who is just used to like one type of environment, going to live in a totally different place will be an incredible experience for you because it challenges kind of how you see things. Like it makes you grow mentally. It's like, oh, like I can see the world in a different way.
Were there anything like, because I had a guest here on the podcast not so long ago. He went to Japan too, and he saw like very unconventional items in like vending machines and stuff that. Yeah. So is that common where you were at?
Super common. I've seen weird things though. I mean, there's like vending machines that will sell you bags of rice. There's vending machines that'll sell you like, what else? I've seen like curry come out of vending machines. That's pretty typical, actually. Every kind of drink possible, imaginable. In really sketchy parts of town, you might find some really sketchy things being sold in vending machines. I'm not going to go into detail because I want to be like a family show. Yeah. But I've seen some totally sketch items like, whoa, my gosh.
Yeah, it's like because the guest I had on, his name's Kaiser. He was talking about when he went to Japan, like there was that kind of vending machine just like out in the open, and people would just like there was no line or anything, but it's just like it's just there. And
I'm like, okay, this is the part of Japan maybe that Japanese people don't want to like talked about widely.
No, but it just I find that so weird how it's just there. Like in the States, like we wouldn't have anything like that. It'd be like in an adult store, separate. Like you could tell like that's where it's
on any street. Like most likely it was in like Shinjuku or some part of town where that sort of thing is more expected. When you've lived long enough in Japan, like some areas of town you're like not supposed to. You're supposed to be more careful, or you're supposed to, like I had friends tell me like, don't go there after dark. And I was like, okay.
But aside from that, aside from that, were there any like, I know Japan has like a bunch of like food and restaurants and stuff like that. Was there any places that you enjoyed going to that when you stayed in Japan?
Of course. I miss the food so much. Like I miss my friends most, but I miss the food like number 2. Oh my gosh. The food everywhere is amazing. I think that in a huge urban environment, there's like so much competition. And so like anything that's subpar just gets wiped out. Like you end up with all the top tier like restaurants and stuff. So Tokyo has almost everything just because it's like, a huge metropolis. But one of the things that I really love about the smaller places in Japan is that a lot of smaller places will have like a local specialty. And that's something that I love about traveling in Japan. So for people who are interested in traveling, I recommend looking into like the local specialty, like what is this area known for? In Sendai, for example, they were known for like zunda mochi, and that's a type of sweet mochi made with edamame paste, which is like sweetened, and it's delicious. And there's also they were also known for gyutan, which is grilled cow tongue, and it's just like really chewy and like delicious and savory, and it's I really miss the food. But yeah, every local area has something that you will want to try. Like if you go to Kyoto, you should definitely try like the nishin soba and anything matcha flavored. Also yatsuhashi, which is this type of there's the raw kind, which is like a triangle dumpling with like red bean paste in it. And then there's the hard kind, which is more like a cookie. But it's like wherever you go, there is going to be something. And I love that about traveling in Japan. And Japanese people love it too, honestly. Like everywhere there's like souvenir stands where they sell the local specialties, and you're encouraged to buy these and bring them home for your friends and family and your coworkers. That's a big part of Japanese culture. It's the omiyage culture, where you buy souvenirs to bring back to share with your family and friends and other people.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that too, because again, I watched that the YouTube video from Pablo from Tokyo. Like, there's a big consideration culture where you have to think of like your coworkers and stuff like that. Even when you work and take a day off, you have to let everyone know that I'm taking this day off. It's not like here where we just sign a date or something like that, or put in our PTO and just go. Like in Japan, I was really surprised that like you do have to let everyone know on your team know that hey, I'm taking this day off, and this is when I'll be coming back, type of thing.
So it's courtesy, it's like to let people know, keep them up to date. I think it's a double-edged sword. So to be completely honest, there are some issues with Japanese workplace culture. It makes it hard to take time off, right? If you can't be like kind of like discreet about it. So sometimes I think that discourages people from taking time off. And Japan has like one of the worst rates of overwork and like, death from overwork in the developed world. So I think that's definitely an issue. But at the same time, I think it's like really indicative of the consideration that is valued in Japanese culture, like letting people know so that they can plan around it, that sort of thing. And I think there's a big emphasis on that in Japanese culture.
Was that something that was challenging for you as well, if you ever decided to take off like a day from work?
When I worked there, honestly, I worked like crazy. I didn't really take time off. I was at this place where like my average work hours were, I worked like about 12 to 14 hours a day. And then I was often asked to work on the weekends as well. So it was
Holy crap.
It was crazy. I didn't have time for anything else. I would go home and fall asleep wearing my work clothes sometimes. I would pass out and I would wake up and be like, oh my God, I have to get going to work again. It was really bad. Okay. And so I'm very intimately familiar with the overwork culture. It's actually really hard in a lot of Japanese companies to change the culture. There's this kind of ingrained culture of, there's this idea that you can't leave work before your boss. And so if your boss is working late, you're supposed to be expected to work late too. And I mean, it was pretty challenging for me in that respect. The place
I would have just got up and left.
Oh man. Yeah, I mean, it's how much do you want to fit into the culture? Honestly, there was actually just that much work. Like I often just struggle to finish, and I think overall it was a good experience for me, but I wouldn't want to go back and do it again. It's like, no, thank you.
Yeah, that does seem to be very strenuous. Like I even working here, like in the States and stuff, like people are already they want more time off, or like there's always like quotes on Facebook and Instagram, like, take your days off, and there's like that encouraged culture of that. But I think working in Japan, just based on what I'm seeing on like, whether it's just through news feeds or YouTube videos or even hearing from your experience, like that kind of work culture is like really just ingrained in these people to just keep working like that. I think that's very crazy, and it kind of just feeds off to like the like how animators in Japan were being overworked or like how
Oh
they're being
yeah,
paid
that's
over
been in
there.
the news. Mhm.
Yeah, because I don't was it I think it was Mappa recently. There was people like complaining about Mappa's like workload and how animators are being treated, or not so much treated, but just like how they're being forced to work crazy hours and their pay is not, I guess, up to the standard of what how much they're working. So people were quitting, and I think that's honestly, I think that's a good thing that people are standing up for themselves. But at the same time, just like all the shows that we're into, like we don't, a lot of
I
viewers don't
know,
realize like
we're like, no.
there's all that crazy stuff happening.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's difficult because it's like market forces, right? Like a lot of people love animation and they want to go into it, and so there's a lot of people in the industry sometimes see this as like, well, you're doing this out of your passion and love, so we don't need to pay you that much, right? So it's like, but no, like I think that artists should be compensated properly for their work and for their time, and it's just, I think it's difficult, these types of things, because like if there's a lot of people that want to do it, then the companies don't have to, the salaries don't have to be as high. Whereas if it's like not that many people want to do the work, then companies have to pay more to draw the talent in. So it's I don't know. I mean, as a fan, I just want to feel like the people creating the things that I love to watch, I want them to be happy too. So, I want, the artists, I want the producers, I want the voice actors and actresses to get paid properly.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. I think like for shows that are really hot right now, for example, like Demon Slayer, with what Ufotable does. I'm not saying like I know what's going on behind the scenes, but like it's just when you see companies like that flourish with that kind of hot show, or like with especially with what Mugen Train brought in this year.
Oh
Like
my gosh, yeah.
It's so much. You can see that they brought in so much revenue, and it kind of I think, I don't know if this is correct or not, but I think even the author they didn't even get that much of a, I guess, compensation from the movie as well.
I
don't
wonder, where's all of it going then? It's like, I don't know, that seems weird to me.
Now, I could be wrong, so anyone who's like listening, and if you know what's happening, please correct me as well. I don't want to just be spewing nonsense, not trying to spread any fake news or anything like that. But I think it's just kind of really weird to see how these companies are making that much money, and like they're not saying that they should announce who's getting paid, but the compensation for like the other people who are working on the sets or help making these shows, they definitely should be paid more to do this kind of work, and it kind of should. And with that, I think it'll encourage them to work even better with these shows.
I think people definitely work better when they're not stressed out about their finances.
Yeah.
Like I think that Kyoto Animation is an example of a studio that I think is really doing great stuff in this regard. Like they have on staff, so a lot of places like they hire contractors or something like that, but Kyoto Animation pays people as staff members, and I think, and they pay them, like a living wage. And it's like, this is a studio that I really admire. And I love a lot of their works too. Like one of my favorite in the last few years has been Violet Evergarden. And it's just like,
oh my God. Yes. I love that show. I love that show. I didn't mean to geek out.
Be so excited because
I didn't mean to geek out, but I love that show.
Do you see this in the back there?
Yes.
I'm planning to do that pretty soon. I have Violet as one of my cosplays.
Yeah, I didn't mean to geek out like that, but I'm just so excited for the movie that's coming up. I'm.
Oh my gosh, October 13th! I have it in my calendar. Like,
yeah,
so
me too. So, like, Violet Evergarden was one of those shows that I refused to watch too. Like a lot of my friends were telling me, like, Ricky, you should watch it. It's pretty good. And I was like, I don't know, man. It's on Netflix. I have like a big thing with Netflix anime because I don't think all of it is great. But I guess what really stuck out to me was just the art style of it. And before I found out,
Yes.
Yeah, and before I found out that Violet Evergarden was through Kyoto Animation, I didn't really care for it until I watched season 1, and then saw like and realized that it was through Kyoto Animation. I love like shows like Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid.
Oh yeah.
I love what I think A Silent Voice is also part of Kyoto Animation. I thought that movie was great, and now with like
what is that called? I don't know the English title. It's okay.
But back to Silent Voice is just like that show is just phenomenal. I love the themes. I love the music, and the voice actress who plays Violet. She's also the voice for Mikasa from Attack on Titan. So I already love her. So I was like, I was a big geek. I was geeking out about it. So I think that's really cool. That's actually in my notes actually to ask you about if you were gonna watch that movie. So now that I know that you're a fan of Violet Evergarden too, so that's amazing.
I love that show so much. And as a parent, there was that one episode where I won't spoil anything, but like as a parent, like certain parts of it just like made me cry so much. And I really appreciate a show that can like really just reach into like the depths of your heart and move you. And that was definitely just an incredible show. And so yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to the Netflix release of the movie.
I think I know what episode you're talking about. I won't say what, but that was a pretty heart-tugging episode. Yeah, because I think when you get Violet's reaction at the end of that episode, and that's what like hit me. I was like, oh my god, like she's not robotic.
No, and you see her slowly changing. It's really a story about one. I mean, it's a lot of stories, but it's if you focus on just Violet, it's like about her growth, and it's so good. I can't even put it into words. I'm like speechless here.
Now, if you don't mind me asking, that's a piano in your background, right behind you. So, are you planning to play any of that as well? Because I know there's like pianists who dress up like who do cosplay and play like OSTs.
Oh, I love. There's this YouTuber, Rue. I think it's Rue's Piano, where she cosplays and she does. I'm not that good. I am not such an amazing musician. I do play piano, but I'm not like at the level where I would be doing like YouTube videos. But I do like playing pieces from my favorite games and anime. I have like Final Fantasy sheet music and stuff like that. I play another instrument. It's called the guzheng. It's a Chinese zither. I did do a cosplay music thing for that. I played Princess Mononoke song on the guzheng, and then I was dressed up as San. So if you're interested, go check out my YouTube.
Is that like is that like the wide instrument like with the strings on top? Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's a really long instrument with like a 21 strings, and they're bridges that you can move around, and you you pluck with finger picks, and you press. My hand is
okay. Now you're talking about it. Yeah. I've seen those before, but I've just never like the only instrument I play is a guitar. I actually have oh no, it's in the corner over there, but it's I have a Martin guitar, and I think that's if I took the time to really just play it from when I first bought it, I'd probably be a lot better now. But I honestly only learned to play guitar because I thought that would make me stand out, but no. No. I don't know if you watch Family Guy, but there's like a bit in there where Stewie says like, you're just like a douchebag with a guitar, and they cut to a guy singing a guy playing a song with 4 chords, and so that's how I felt like when I was playing the guitar. I'm just typical, it's nothing really great, but it's whatever.
I think if you enjoy it, it doesn't need to be. I feel like people sometimes put pressure on themselves for their hobbies and stuff. Like, I need to get this good, or I need to be able to do this. But if you enjoy it and it enhances your life, it's worth doing. That's my philosophy.
I know that's great. I think it's really cool I think a lot of people these days are missing out on like just using physical instruments because everything's just so digital now, and everything can be just made on like GarageBand or Audacity. It's very easy to just pick out sounds and
electronic music.
Yeah. So it's so easy to do that now versus like people playing live instruments and stuff like that. So I really respect people who still play instruments in person
Well,
instead
I
of
think
like.
that the part that's missing with especially given like current pandemic situation, like the current situation, I think that like the one thing that really is wonderful about live music is that you can perform with other people, and that's just something that is often missing with the electronic stuff. I think it is doable, but it's like, I think still, you know, traditional instruments is a lot of times it's like that's how you perform with other people.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot different. Just like performance wise, because I used to do like coffee shop type ordeals when I played guitar. So I would sing and perform in front of like a small little audience, and the I guess you could say like the vibes are different versus like if you played like electronic music or sang to it or sang to like a track. It's fun, but I think there's more of an emotional depth when you play like an instrument in front of people. For example, like John Mayer is a really good artist, and
Oh
when he
yeah.
plays his guitar on stage, like he can really just he doesn't even have to sing. He'll just play his guitar, and you can see what he's expressing through that guitar and through the music that he's making. So I think that's what's I think that's what's missing with a lot of music these days. It's like we don't, as an audience member or as a viewer, you don't get to see that kind of form of expression anymore because everything's just through digital.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I definitely feel you there. My husband actually really loves guitar, and he also plays guitar, and I think he still really loves like his favorite guitarist is Joe Satriani, and so we've been to like concerts, and I think there's really something that's like special about it.
Now, I wanted to ask you this as well. When we were talking about your whole trip to Japan or working in Japan, there's like this video where I've seen where the people go to like places where it's in anime movies and stuff like that. For example, like Your Name, people went to like those staircases.
Yeah.
That's actually one of my bucket list things to do. Have you done anything like that too? Like go to places where like you've seen in like anime or in movies and stuff like that?
You know, I honestly wish I had done more of that actively back when I lived there. It's like missed opportunities. Like one of the things that I really regret is when I lived there, I wasn't as active cosplaying. And so I missed out on, you know, going to like photo studios and like hanging out with cosplayers in Japan. I was really lucky because when I studied abroad, I had a part-time job that kind of had a connection to comiket, like comic market. And so I got to go in cosplay, and that was like an incredible experience. Like I really enjoyed that a lot. But then I don't know what I was doing. I think I was too focused on studying, to be honest. I was like too serious, like studying, and I didn't fully maximize, you know, my time in terms of my hobbies. So I didn't really cosplay that much, and I didn't go to a lot of places. But you know what's amazing is having lived there, sometimes I'll be watching an anime and I'll be like, I know where that is. Like it's like and that's an incredible feeling. So like I would love to like make this kind of pilgrimage where I go back and like search specifically for, you know, places that I've seen. Like one thing that I think is really commonly shown in a lot of anime is like this like really high embankment, like a grassy embankment, and that's actually like a famous spot. I forget the name, but it's a famous embankment in Japan, and I've seen that in person, you know, and I've seen like a lot of the famous sites that sometimes, you know, a lot of anime episodes like the students will go on like their school trip and they'll go to like, you know, specific locations, and I'll be like, oh, I've been there. It's like I love that feeling. It's like it's so much fun, and so yeah, I would love to have an opportunity. I know that there are tours now offered for specifically for like geeks like us who want to go and like, you know, search out these places, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah, that's something I really want to do if I ever go to Japan. Is just like the inner weeb in me just wants to go to Japan for that. It's just to see like the real sites that help inspire like shows or different movies and stuff like that. But yeah, definitely like especially like just seeing like the stuff on social media. Like there was one where people actually do like side by side comparisons from like
it's so much fun, and you can see what the little changes that people made. Like one of the things like one of the shows I really like, Steins Gate, has like a lot of it set in Akihabara, and that's like, you know, I've been there, and it's like it's so cool to kind of like draw from my memory or like look at pictures that I used to take and like compare it, and like it's it's so much fun to do that.
Well, Kaya, as we wrap things up here, I want to say thank you so much for being on the podcast again. Was there anything else that you like to say, for last words or anything like that to the people who watch or listen to this episode?
I just wanted to thank you for reaching out to me. It was really fun. I haven't actually dressed up in a while since I've been busy since my kids started school, and so today was like really fun. Like put on makeup and like put on the wig and like just do this whole thing. It was really fun. I think my last words I want to be about like cosplay. I think I want to encourage everybody to cosplay and just enjoy it as a fun thing to do. There's no wrong way to do it if you're having fun. And I think that sometimes people get competitive about it, or like sometimes people get really self-conscious because there's people online that are super nitpicky. And it's like, just ignore the haters, like have fun. It's a really fun hobby. And that's what I want to leave people with.
That's awesome. And yeah, I agree with that as well. To just enjoy what you do and ignore everyone that hates on your content. But Kaya, thank you so much for your time. I cannot thank you enough. And if you ever want to come back on the podcast again to just geek out about like Violet Evergarden or other shows as well, you're more than welcome to be on the podcast again. Just let me know and I'll make time for you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Perfect. All right, you guys, thank you so much. This is episode 101, and have a great day. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow, like, share, subscribe, and rate Spoiler Force Podcast. If you have any guest recommendations, comments, questions, concerns, or criticism, you can email me at rickyvang92@gmail.com or message me online on any of my social media platforms.